Elias, a history major with a knack for forgetting things, found himself standing outside Professor Reed's office long after the last lecture had ended. He'd left his textbook, a hefty volume on medieval Europe, on his desk. As he knocked, the door creaked open to reveal not the stern academic Dr. Reed he knew from class, but Elena. Her hair was down, glasses off, and she was lost in a classic black-and-white film playing on her laptop. In that unguarded moment, surrounded by towers of books and the soft glow of the screen, Elias saw a different woman entirely, one who seemed lonely. She was startled but smiled, a genuine warm smile that reached her eyes. Handing him the book, their fingers brushed. It was a fleeting touch, but it sent a spark through Elias that he couldn't ignore. "Late night, Elias?" she asked, her voice softer than in the lecture hall. He mumbled something about studying, but his mind was racing. He'd always admired her intellect, her passion for history. But now, seeing this other side of her, he felt something else taking root, something unexpected and a little bit terrifying. Their interactions started to change subtly after that night. He'd linger after class, not just to ask about the Carolingian Empire, but to talk about films, music, anything. He found himself wanting to make her smile, to see that unguarded look in her eyes again. One afternoon, while discussing his term paper, the conversation drifted. "You know," she said almost hesitantly, "if you're ever looking for a quiet place to write, away from the dorm chaos, my door is always open. I make a decent pot of coffee." The invitation hung in the air, a bridge between their two worlds. Elias accepted, his heart thumping. A few days later, he found himself at her small, cozy home, filled with the scent of old books and brewing coffee. The evening started with his essay, but soon evolved into stories about their lives. He learned she was a transplant to the city, that she'd poured her life into her career, and that the quiet hum of her home was often her only companion. He, in turn, shared his dreams of traveling, his family back home, the pressures of being a student. That night, dinner wasn't just coffee and essay notes. It was a simple meal of pasta she'd thrown together, shared over laughter, and a level of honesty neither had expected. Walking home, Elias felt a profound shift. This wasn't just a crush on a professor anymore. He was getting to know Elena, the person, and he was captivated. The line between student and teacher was blurring, replaced by a delicate magnetic pull. Their encounters became a series of happy accidents and carefully planned coincidences. They'd bump into each other at a local indie cinema, both feigning surprise, or at a quiet cafe far from campus. Each meeting chipped away at the professional facade, revealing the people underneath. He saw the vulnerability she hid behind her academic achievements, and she saw in him a kindness and maturity that defied his age. The attraction was no longer a one-sided spark. It was a current flowing between them, undeniable and growing stronger. The ethical dilemma was a constant, unspoken weight. He was her student. She was his professor. The rules were clear, the risks enormous. A single rumor could shatter her career and complicate his academic future. They talked about it one rainy afternoon, huddled under the awning of a closed bookstore. "This is complicated, Elias," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I know," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "But it doesn't feel wrong. Being with you, it feels right." In that moment, a decision was made. They chose to step into that complicated, secret world together. Their first kiss wasn't a grand cinematic moment. It was quiet, tentative, and happened on her doorstep after another long evening of conversation. It was a confirmation of everything they'd been feeling, a seal on their hidden pact. The world outside, with its rules and judgments, faded away, leaving just the two of them. Living a double life on campus was a masterclass in subtlety. A shared, knowing glance across a crowded lecture hall. A book passed from her hand to his with a light, lingering touch. These were the small ways they communicated their secret language. Their real moments were stolen away from prying eyes, late-night drives with no destination, quiet weekends at her house, becoming each other's sanctuary. They'd talk for hours, sharing fears and dreams, the kind of vulnerable truths you only tell the person you trust completely. Guilt was a frequent visitor, a shadow that sometimes crept into their happy bubble. Was this fair? Was it right? But whenever those doubts surfaced, a quiet evening together, a shared laugh, or a simple, reassuring touch was enough to chase them away. The happiness they found in each other felt more real, more important than the risks. This wasn't a reckless fling. It was a deep, meaningful connection that had blossomed against the odds. A year passed like this, a mosaic of hidden moments and quiet joy. They had built a life within a life, a world that belonged only to them. One evening, sitting on her porch and watching the sunset paint the sky, Elias took her hand. "You know," he said softly, "our life is kind of weird." Elena leaned her head on his shoulder, a contented smile on her face. "I know," she whispered back. "It's a good kind of weird." They knew the future was uncertain, that their secret couldn't last forever. But in that moment, holding on to each other, they were content. They had their secret world, and for now, that was more than enough. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.